It's 6 p.m. and I call this meeting of the Miami Township Board of Trustees to order. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. McCord, could you just please take the roll?
Yes, Mr. Culp.
Here.
Mr. Posey.
Here.
Chief Stegelmeyer, please proceed with the reading of casualties.
Good evening, Board. The following is the list of first responder casualties for the period of January 1st through January 16th of 2024. Deputy Sheriff Justin Smith, Stone County Sheriff's Office in Arkansas, end of watch January 2nd, 2024. Deputy Sheriff Eric Anthony Minix, the Coweta County Sheriff's Office in Georgia, end of watch January 4th, 2024. And Deputy Sheriff Jeremy Malone from the George County Sheriff's Office in Mississippi, end of watch January 4th, 2024.
Would you please join me in a moment of silence? The next thing on the agenda is the election of a vice president. We're going to delay that until the next meeting. Recognition, we have no special guests or presentations at this time. We have matters listed under the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Culp.
Aye.
Mr. Posey.
Aye.
Mr. Carlson's not here tonight. Mr. Snyder, could you please cover the first resolution and the following resolutions?
Good evening, Board. We'll go over resolution. I'll go over resolution number 1, number 3, and number 4, 2024. First resolution, number 1, 2024, is a resolution to execute the necessary documents to secure an agreement with the Montgomery County Microfilming Board. This is an annual housekeeping measure. We have microfilm that is stored through Montgomery County for some of our older community development records, and this is to cover the charges for that annual storage. It's my understanding from Mr. Carlson's memo that the prices have not increased from the previous year. Are there any questions on that resolution? Number 3-2024 is a resolution to appoint representatives to Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission Board of Directors. And you've got that in your packets. This, again, is an annual measure to appoint representatives to the Board of Directors for the Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission. At this time, we are proposing to appoint Mr. Culp and myself, Chris Snyder, both as primary, being Trustee Culp, and myself as the secondary alternate representative to the MVRPC Board of Directors, with a term ending on December 31st, 2024. Are there any questions on that? Resolution number 4, 2024, is a resolution to adopt a video and audio recording policy. This is again to clarify the video and audio recording policies for Miami Township facilities and the ability, and also clarifying the exemption to allow people to, again, film trustee meetings and zoning commission meetings and other similar meetings within the government facilities here. So, are there any questions on the audio and video recording policy? With that, I will turn it over to Mr. Schweikert, our Public Works Director, to review Resolution number 2, 2024.
Good evening, Board. Resolution 2, 2024 is a resolution to authorize the submittal of an Ohio Department of Transportation Highway Safety Improvement Program application for the improvement of Springboro Pike. The Miami Crossing Joint Economic District engaged Choice 1 on a safety study along the 741 corridor for a proposed sidewalk improvement and bike path. This is an application for funding on a Phase 1 project for 1,400 feet of sidewalk between Ferndown and Newmark Drive. There is an additional Phase 2 down the road, but right now we're just focused on Phase 1. This project cost is estimated at $1,372,307. The requested amount for this application is $1,080,000, and this information was in your packet. But the local match would be $214,000 for our share. Otherwise, that kind of covers the resolution. I'd be happy to answer any questions on behalf of Director Carlson.
I don't have any questions, but I will say that this has been a long time necessity for us, so I'm glad to see that we're finally getting it done.
Absolutely.
So next, Resolution E, Mr. McCord.
Good evening, Board. Resolution 5-2024 is an amendment to the appropriation of funds for 2024. In the process of loading in the budget and balancing everything at year end, we came across two small pieces of the personnel appropriation that had not made it into the final document that I presented in December. So we're making a small adjustment to bring that up so that it'll amend our initial appropriation so we can start 24 off correct with everyone being paid.
Okay. And the last item is a motion to schedule a public hearing for a nuisance abatement. Mr. McConnell?
Prepared a short presentation with some visuals so you could see the violation in question. Again, the property 2339 Polo Park Drive was the subject of several neighbor complaints and the like. Zoning Inspector Isaiah Ballard began his kind of investigation on July 27th of 2023. That was when the first complaint was submitted via CitizenServe regarding a junk vehicle. This is a vehicle that's inoperable in one way, shape, or form. There's some criteria we'll talk about that makes it inoperable according to the Ohio Revised Code and our Property Maintenance Code. So on 7/28/2023, these first photos were taken of the vehicle. As you can see, it has multiple flat tires. It has a damaged, I would say destroyed front end. It is very clearly inoperable and damaged. 3 additional violation letters were sent out to the property owner following the initial contact by Mr. Ballard. On August 17th of 23, the property owner let Isaiah know that some financial issues kept her from taking care of the car at the time, but that she was working to correct the violation. Unfortunately, additional complaints came in and additional letters were sent out on September 19th and December 14th of 2023. Mr. Ballard also taped a form to the actual vehicle that let the property owner know how to contact us so that we can figure something out. Unfortunately, no contact was made, so it was determined that according to the Ohio Revised Code, the vehicle was a junk motor vehicle, meaning in this case that it's extensively damaged and apparently inoperable. What we are requesting from the trustees is a motion to set a hearing, a public hearing, to officially recognize this as a nuisance and to allow us to then work with Sandy's, a local towing company, to tow the car at the owner's expense. There is no cost to the township for this abatement, but a public hearing must be set and conducted in order for it to be done according to the rules. So again, in summary, Inspector Ballard took a look at the situation. He recommended that after multiple attempts at contact and no solution in sight, that this hearing for a public abatement for the nuisance is the recommended course of action. Do you have any questions for me about the case?
I do not.
In that case, I would request a motion to schedule a public nuisance abatement hearing at your next regularly scheduled trustee meeting.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Board.
So we're at the public comment portion of the meeting. This is the portion of the meeting where residents of Miami Township are invited to share their thoughts with the board. Do we have anybody that's signed in? Okay. So
No, we do not.
I believe there's no one waiting to share public comments, so we'll move on. Now we're at the consideration of motions. Resolutions and motions. So Resolution 001, 2024, resolution to authorize the Township Administrator to execute the necessary documents to secure an agreement with Montgomery County Microfilming Board. I make a motion that we approve Resolution 001, 2024.
I second.
Mr. Culp.
Aye.
Mr. Posey.
Aye.
I make a motion that we approve Resolution 002, 2024, a resolution to authorize the submittal of an Ohio Department of Transportation Highway Safety Improvement Program application for the improvement of Spring Row Pike.
Second.
Mr. Culp.
Aye.
Mr. Posey.
Aye.
I make a motion that we approve Resolution 003, 2024, resolution to appoint township representatives to the Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission Board of Directors.
Second.
Mr. Culp.
Aye.
Mr. Posey.
Aye.
I make a motion that we approve Resolution 004, 2024, resolution to adopt a video and audio recording policy.
Second.
Mr. Culp.
Aye.
Mr. Posey.
Aye.
I make a motion that we approve Resolution 005, 2024, resolution to approve amendments to the appropriation of funds for 2024.
Second.
Mr. Culp.
Aye.
Mr. Posey.
Aye.
And I make a motion that we schedule a public hearing for a nuisance abatement at 2339 Polo Park.
Second.
Mr. Culp.
Aye.
Mr. Posey.
Aye.
So we're now at the public hearing. Public hearing period of the meeting. So the first public hearing is going to be resolution to adopt a zoning map amendment from 02 Office District to SPPUD. Yeah, am I missing something? Oh, should I be reading this? Okay.
Thank you, Board.
So this is a motion, I need to read through this, right? This is a motion to open public hearing for zoning case number 46223, zoning case. Okay. Make a motion.
Make a motion.
Thank you.
Yes.
To open public hearing for zoning case number 46223.
Second.
Mr. Culp.
Aye.
Mr. Posey.
Aye.
Zoning case 46223 is now open. The following will be the order in which this hearing will proceed. Staff will give a report, applicant will give a presentation, all proponents will speak, all opponents will speak. A time limit of 5 minutes will be placed on each of the speakers. Please give your name and address for the record. The board will review and record the findings of fact requirements for this case. The board will close the public hearing and make a final determination on the findings of fact. And the board will make a motion on resolution concerning this case. The board will now hear this report of the staff. Mr. McConnell, have the legal requirements for this hearing been met?
Yes, they have.
And would you review your report at this time?
Yes, thank you, Board. A bit of a change is that the applicant, we met with them a couple days following the zoning commission hearing. They have requested some additional time to kind of review the approved land uses and find out if there is some additional land uses that they may be granted. So they're going to do some work and develop their plan a little bit further. They have requested that we continue this hearing until your February 20th meeting date.
Okay. Okay. So we'll make a motion to continue the hearing until February 20th.
Thank you, Board.
Second.
Mr. Culp.
Aye.
Mr. Posey.
Aye.
And next,
Motion to close the hearing.
to close it. Okay.
Well, hearing stay open.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So this is a motion to open public hearing for zoning case number 46123, right?
Correct.
No, not
Yeah,
right.
you're correct, sorry. They didn't have the case number on the agenda. You've got the correct case number, sorry.
Okay. So we're good, right?
Yep.
Zoning case, so let me make a motion to open public hearing for zoning case number 46123.
I will second that.
Mr. Posey,
Aye.
Mr. Culp,
Aye.
I'll flip that.
The following will be the order in which this hearing will proceed. Staff will give a report. All proponents will speak. All opponents will speak. Time limit of 5 minutes will be placed on each of the speakers. Please give your name and address for the record. The board will close the public hearing prior to taking final action. The board will now hear the report of the staff. Mr. McConnell, have the legal requirements for this hearing been met?
Yes, they have.
And do you have a recommendation from the Miami Township Zoning Commission? Would you please review your report at this time?
Yes, thank you, Board. Just a quick note that the Miami Township Zoning Commission did recommend approval of this text amendment 4-1. So this actually came as a initiative from the Community Development Department itself. We are suggesting an amendment to Article 3 of the Township Zoning Resolution, which would essentially allow zoning violations to be enforced as civil offenses in addition to their existing enforcement pathways. This is something that is already done for property maintenance code violations, and we would like to bring that ability over to violations of the zoning resolution itself. There was one stipulation for the zoning commission's recommended approval, and that was to have legal counsel Don Frick review the language and make sure that it was in agreement with Ohio Revised Code and any other legal requirements that might exist for the language. We do believe that's been taken care of. So just to give you a quick overview, civil offense is a method for enforcing violations of the zoning resolution that's available to home rule townships in Ohio. It essentially removes the requirement for a judge to rule that a violation has occurred before penalties can be enforced. There is multiple pathways for violators who are charged with civil offense to, if they disagree with that charge, can still bring it in front of a court for a decision. It allows us to impose a series of graduated fines for consecutive violations, which the current enforcement pathway does not allow for. And again, it's something that is already taken into account in our property maintenance code. Violators of that can be subject to these fines, but we believe that opening up this enforcement pathway for zoning resolution violations will give additional teeth to the zoning inspector when he's out doing his duties. So the benefits, why should Miami Township adopt these? It allows for quicker responses to resident complaints about zoning violations. The alternative process takes about 2 to 3 months for each new or continuing violation to even possibly move to some form of fine or other real consequence for the violation. The graduated fine amounts discourage repeat offenders by becoming financially untenable with repeated violations. And again, it doesn't rely on a third party to determine if a violation has occurred. We can use photographs of the violation. Why is it a priority now? Why have we kind of made this a priority? As you may have seen, for a while there in kind of late October, early November, we had some businesses that were putting out signs in the road right-of-way on a fairly regular basis. We did some pretty significant enforcement, including coming in on off-hours, Saturday and such, to try to curb that. And for the most part, I think we have succeeded, except for a few violators who continue to put the signs out despite multiple contacts from the office. They understand what the issue is and why it's an issue, and they have made it clear that they will continue to do this, and our only option is to come and remove them on a weekend basis. So we believe that opening up this enforcement pathway will allow us specifically to mitigate that issue. It's our hope to never have to use this enforcement pathway. It's kind of a last resort in our mind. However, the current top tier of escalation for enforcement has not deterred them from continuing to make these zoning violations. So that's why we are requesting this be added as an enforcement pathway. Just a quick review of the fine amounts. First fine's $100. The second fine, so if the same violation continues each day, they can be graduated from 100 to 250, 500 for the third offense, and then 1,000 for the fourth and each subsequent offense. Again, it is not our intent to ever have to graduate these fine amounts. We hope to be able to show them, hey, this is in place now. This is what your fine amount could total. Please stop doing it now. But if it were the case, you know, some of these individuals or businesses that are currently violating would be in the $10,000 range just for the amount of signs that they put out on one day, like a Saturday. So wanted to give you an idea of what those graduated fine amounts were. Again, I wanted to reiterate that this is something that is in place for property maintenance violations, and in 6 years that it's been in effect, we have not once used it to enforce property maintenance violations. It's, like I said, a last resort. However, we are requesting that you allow us to bring this enforcement pathway to the zoning resolution violations as well. Do you have any questions about the case for me?
Questions? Just, again, you just stated this, but I want to make sure I understand it. You're requesting an additional tool in the toolkit as opposed to something that you intend to go out and start revenue generating on behalf of the township.
Absolutely correct. It's my personal belief that if we are using this tool, it means that somewhere along the way, we have failed to communicate the importance of these zoning resolutions. However, I do believe there is a certain subset of zoning violators who, no matter what, will do it so long as the consequences are not too bad. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that is what we are looking for, this tool to hopefully help us with the 1% of folks that are going to violate no matter what.
Thank you.
I have a couple questions. How does someone appeal a fine if they've been fined? And that's the first question. Go ahead.
Sure. So there are appeal methods both for the civil citation itself. You can appeal that to the Board of Zoning Appeals. However, if that holds, then you could appeal the judges, like you would then be scheduled for an actual court appearance, and that decision can be appealed as well. So there are all multiple points of appeal.
Okay. And secondly, why do we think that people who essentially aren't listening to us now would pay a fine?
Well, it is allowed by law that the fine can be turned into a tax bill. So eventually, if they're, you know, if it goes to court and a judge finds that the violation has occurred, then that fine can be placed as a tax bill associated with their business. So.
Okay. Thanks. So, are we closing? Yeah, the proponents, right? So the board will now hear from all proponents. The board will now hear from all opponents. And I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for zoning case 46123.
I'll second.
Mr. Culp.
Aye.
Mr. Posey.
Aye.
Now it's time for department head comments.
I will make a motion that we adopt resolution
Well, thank you.
number 007-2024. Therefore, be it resolved, the Miami Township Board of Trustees approves the text amendment to the Miami Township zoning resolution under zoning case 461-23 and adopts the zoning commission recommendation.
I second that.
Mr. Culp.
Aye.
Mr. Posey.
Aye.
Okay, department head comments. Right? Chief Stegelmeyer?
I have none, thank you.
Thanks.
Good evening, Board. I just want to thank my staff for their hard work over the weekend with the cold weather. When it's extremely cold out, it does make it difficult. We have to use different applications, calcium, chloride sometimes to help break through the snow and ice. But anyways, I just wanted to give a shout out to my staff. They work really hard. They take a lot of pride in clearing the roadways, and we do get a lot of compliments from our residents. So anyways, I just want to put a spotlight on them for a moment.
Good, yeah, we all appreciate them very much, of course, during this time of year, all times of year, but, so the salt situation, we always like an update on that.
Yeah, so we're trying to be, I don't want to say completely conservative, but we're just trying to be mindful that the price of salt this year right now is $91 a ton. So we're trying to use it in moderation to be absolutely effective. We're using a brine system right now to try and get an application on the road so we don't have to use as much salt on the back end. So there's a lot of, I want to say, we're watching how we spend resources right now, but I think we're doing a good job, and like I said, just wanted to give a big shout out to our staff. So
Good, good. Mr. McConnell?
I will just say that I think, the Community Development Department is very excited about our Parks and Trails plan that we're working on, and we're really looking forward to meeting with the trustees and discussing that. Unfortunately, with a couple of delayed flights, we won't be able to do that tonight, but we are
Right.
looking forward to that.
All right. Mr. McCord?
I have none tonight.
Mr. Snyder?
Just reiterate again, thanks to all the crews who've been out, sometimes late at night in cold weather, taking care of all of our residents out there so that they can get to work and school safely. So that's it. We do have a need for a work session, and executive session tonight. So
Elected officials' comments, Mr. Posey?
I'd like to congratulate Mr. Culp on his first meeting as president of the Board of Trustees.
Yeah, it'll
And,
get rougher.
It went just fine. And again, thank Mr. Schweikert and his department for their efforts in this cold weather climate.
Now I have no comments. Now we have a work session that we're scheduled to go into. I move that we adjourn into work session at 6:27 PM.
I'll second.
Mr. Paul.
Aye?
Mr. Posey.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, sorry. Do I need to comment on the executive session that do we go straight into it, or do we have the work session right here?
well, we were going to go in there.
Okay.
Work session.
Okay.
Then we can just go ahead and move to go into executive session after work session.
Okay.
Do you want me to make the motion? Sure. Okay. I will make a motion that after the work session, which we are conducting in the conference room, that we will immediately go into executive session with an attorney to consider the dismissal or discipline of a public employee or official, or the investigation of complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G1.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Culp.
Aye.
Mr. Posey.
Aye.
And now do we
You just adjourned.
Okay. I move that we adjourn the meeting at 6:28 PM into work session.
Just wrap the gavel and we're good.
I'm sorry?
You just hit the gavel and we're good.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.